What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, Angry Jackalope, Robert R. Ricks. Yeah, how's that for your fucking ear holes at 10:44 in the goddamn morning? Minute kiss first up, first in line. So yeah, what the fuck is this video about? Well, we can talk about all doom and gloom and all the other bullshit, but I was on Facebook and I've seen. Wait, first let's get close. Fuck that. Come here. There we go. So I've seen a lot of people talking about Topps' M4X Punisher, which is near and dear to my heart, as is evident by my logo right up there. You can see there's two M4X Punishers crisscrossed. And a question that even I had when I first got the blade was, is the back of the blade a good saw back? Is it a saw? And its purpose is not sawing, actually. It's for notching. It's for notching little squares and shit. Now, you know, it was designed by Daniel Serto. Serto? Daniel Serto? That's his name, right? Daniel. It's kind of rubbed off. That's what she said. Yeah, Daniel Serto. And it was originally designed for the Punisher movie. There's been a few movies. If you look around long enough, you'll see which movie it was. And it was pretty entertaining. It had a pretty short... What's up, Evan? It had a short role, but it had a pivotal moment where Punisher shanked it inside some dude's fucking head. And I was enamored and in love with that blade when I first saw it. You can say what you want about movie blades. I am, you know, just enamored by crazy designs and stuff like that. And M4X Punisher was one of the first Topps blades that I got and actually modified. And I actually realized I did quite a few modifications to mine. Even when I get new ones, I modify the shit out of them. But I figured I would do a quick little video just kind of showcasing what you can do. And the only tool you'll really need is a Dremel. If you've got a Dremel, like I've got with a bunch of different little attachments and doodads and whatnot on it, you can make these same modifications. And I think my modifications for myself addresses a few of the issues that I have heard people talk about. For example, so the blade itself has this choil here, you know, that you can kind of reach up and choke up on, and it's got this little back piece here. Well, some people that have really large hands have complained that when they are gripping it, because it had some really interesting geometry where there was some squaring and some angular parts to it, that it would cause hot spots on their hands. Now, typically whenever I'm using a blade and I'm doing hard, heavy use with it, I have gloves. And so there's been times, though, when I've done testing with this, for example, where I have not had gloves on. And I've never really experienced any of the hotspots that other people have. But I do believe them, because if I bring my hand back here and kind of rub on it, you know, if I rub on it, if it rubs it, then it would. So one of the first things I did was I actually rounded this area here off. So you could see the areas where I just kind of rounded it and, you know, made it softer, I guess is the best way to describe it. And for the back end, I left these really angular and everything else because I kind of want these points for when I'm pommel striking and stuff like that. So the mods that I made on this are more conducive to making it a true combat blade as opposed to a bushcraft blade. So the notching on the back have been changed with a Dremel, and all I did was just run it up on the inside. So now they come to a wicked point. So the idea is hitting, and if something is here, bring it back, and it's going to basically impale. And I've hit wood with that, and it's a world of difference. It actually turns them into, I think, more of what Daniel was designing. Because if you look at his Relentless blade, those are not wood square notching on his. They're actually really sharp. So using this a Dremel, just sliding up inside. You could probably get away with one of those circular files that they have. Just kind of go up into the channel, and that will give you the same deal there, and it will take off some of the material. So now when I rub my finger on this, it's actually really sharp, and I know that that's actually going to do some really interesting damage. Because when you first get it, it's almost like when they blast it with the coating, it has like little dimples on the top. So they almost they don't look like what you would think would do a square notch, but it actually does do a decent square notch. So if you make traps and you do all of that kind of bushcrafty stuff, you probably won't touch it. You'll leave it alone. If you're like me and you're using this primarily as a combat tool, blah blah blah, then yeah, you're going to make the modification to it. Now the other thing I had a problem with was there was really no good pronounced jimping up here, which I thought this blade begged for jimping right here. And so what I did, again with a Dremel, I just kind of went in, and if I go and angle it, you'll see the jimping that's there now. So that gives me just enough to get a really good solid purchase on it. So now when I'm even more so when I actually have my gloves on, you know, it's aggressive enough that my bare finger, you know, that's locked, it's going nowhere. In the glove is even more so. So with a glove I can even push down more. With my my finger, you can see the indents there. So you know, those are just some of the modifications. The other thing I did was inside of the choiling, I just kind of rounded this a little bit so that was softer. I didn't really care too much about here. I did a little bit, but right through this area, just rounded. It feels much better. And you know, so that in a nutshell is the mods I did. Now in the early days when I first got this, they didn't have the Rocky Mountain tread, and I fought tooth and nail for them to put Rocky Mountain tread. And so now you can get you know, all the different things on the blades that you want. If you want Rocky Mountain tread, you can get that. If you want to do a certain no, not shit, just hanging. Hey, what's up, Yak? And then that way, you know, you can really customize the blade to your liking. I took off a lot of the extra coating that was here because it came off naturally, a lot of it, but it was all splotchy, like, I mean, all the way up midline here, you know, I took the coating off, just going ham with it. Like I have, this blade has gone, this blade personal, this one right here. Let's see, you could even see some of that coating right on that backside there. I think even on the bottom here, you can see just the damage. I have taken apart a full wood play set in the backyard with next to no gear other than a blade itself. I plunged it in car hoods, car doors, car roofs. I have smashed in car windows. I've gone through thin metal doors, not the full solid metal doors, but the kind of middle doors that you find in some houses that have like the real faint metal. I mean, it's like a step above like aluminum, I guess. It's very, you know, mild, but I plunged it through doors like that. I have smashed cinder blocks, frozen pig heads, blah 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 blah, and that's why I am really in love with my M4X Punisher. And I saw quite a few people over the last year that are first time Tops buyers that are asking questions about the blade, and people will give it just kind of a base answer like, yeah, it's for notching and things like that. But I want to let people know, look, it's your blade, mod that bitch, you know. And I like I said, I modded this and made it, in my mind, perfect, just with a Dremel. So, you know, and then of course some people are getting a little more creative with their sheaths and things of that nature, and I definitely think that's pretty good. Now I will point out different parts of the blade that may not be intuitive. So for example, this area right here is for hammering. That's its purpose. You can see it's got a little extra thickness right about here. That's what she says. She likes a little bit of extra thickness, but that thickness right there is really good for hammering. Now the interesting thing is, without the jimping right here, when I would try to hammer, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't very intuitive. The other thing I would recommend is, if you are going to hammer with it, and you're hammering obviously a fucking nail or something like that, you're going to want to put something there too, so that it's not just straight metal on metal. Because if you miss that tiny little spot right there, right, and then you hit metal on metal with, you know, one of these other things, you're going to bust a ridge probably. But, you know, that is there. I mean, it's good for like if you're camping and you're doing the pegs. Like I've done that. I've pegged in shit pretty easily. I mean, you could also use the flat of the blade. You know, same thing for like pegs, because that's not going to hurt anything. Or you could be super safe and just use, you know, the back end. Now, the geometry on the blade is something that frustrates a lot of people, because the tip, it comes up to a triangle wedge, and the reason for that is this is also meant to be a pry bar. So you could see right there how this side slants down, right? Now, if you're not careful with your sharpening, what you'll end up doing is you can inadvertently create a convex edge, which is kind of what I did down through here. I ended up, after a lot of sharpening and everything else, turned it into a convex, and was not my intent, but I'm an amateur at sharpening, and so that's what happened. But you can, you know, if you ever get to the point where your blade is not as sharp as it came to you originally and everything else, you could always reach out to Tops and say it needs a touch up or whatever. You ship it over to them, your cost to ship it to them, and then they will resharpen, refinish, and everything else for you, and then I think you pay the shipping back. Like, they're really good on their warranty and stuff. So if you tell them, hey, like there was a blade that they had gifted me, you know, it was the first black on black, and they had put a real fine edge on it because they thought, you know, there was no way I was going to go ham and chop the fuck out of a frozen pig head or anything, but I did, and I chinked the blade. And so they're like, well, fuck, Rob, we thought the only thing you'd ever do was cut paper with it. I'm like, are you fucking serious? I test the shit to make sure it's going to survive anything that I throw at it. Because one thing that you never know for sure about your blade is the heat treat. If the heat treats has a little bit of a problem to it or whatever, and the minute you go ham with it, you will bust your blade. I've had that happen so many times, and then I'll get a replacement blade and I'll go ham with it, and it's perfectly fucking fine, but there's no way to tell if you have a bad heat treat or not, right? The only way to know for sure is to take your blade, go ham with it, and then go, great. You know, so it doesn't really matter when you get it if it gets some of the coating messed up and things of that nature. Better to be safe than sorry, right? Especially with these types of blades. These, you know, we invest a lot in these, and we depend on our, you know, our lives depend on it when push comes to shove. So the last thing you want to have happen is things go bad, you have your blade, you go to use it, and a bitch breaks, because at that point, what are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? Medica says that's why I love watching Forged in Fire on history. Yeah, it's funny how hardcore they go through, and it's funny because you see at the very beginning, oh, what is his name? I think his name is also Dan. Anyway, one of the guys checks the blade at first and makes sure that it's up to snuff. You know, he's like kind of looking at it, testing it, and going, okay, yeah, I think this blade will work. You know, and then they go through and go ham on it. Or is it the actual? Wait, Forged in Fire is the one where they actually make a blade, right? That's not the one where they actually go through and do the hardcore testing and go through the obstacle course, right? That's a different show. Anyway, Forged in Fire, I think that's the one where they got the makers that come in, and then they sit there and they make the blades, and then when they're done, they turn it in and let everybody look at it, right? So that is the M4X Punisher. I kind of just wanted to touch on it a little bit, just because I have seen some new users that are thrilled they've got it, but they're not quite sure a couple of things about it. So I just wanted to do a quick video that I could point to and say, hey, look, that's what it's for. And in regards to notching, I don't think I'm ever gonna notch with this, but as a carry blade, where I need it and I use it, it's nice to have that, and then also be able to have something that can also be used offensively, because this right here, ooh, that hurts. That hurts. So if I'm doing a forward strike like this and I'm coming back, and there's a guy that's grabbing me, and I want to make sure I don't actually cut myself, this is a good thing to slam back against an arm. And this right here will just chunk it up, hit and pull, and it's gonna, it's not true serrations, but it does fill a bill right here. So there you go. Real quick little video. I might pop back on here in a little bit, talk about current events and shit like that, but I really wanted to do a quick little M4X Punisher video. Alright guys, that's it for now. If you like it, please subscribe, tell your friend far wide. Until next time, motherfuckers, please be good to yourself, good to each other. Go out, live life to the fullest, ride the bus to the wheels fall off, have some adventures, get some scars and all that jazz. And I'll see you motherfuckers next time. That's right, yep. Testing shows knife or death. That's right. Thanks. I'll do another video after this one.